Another Firearm Freedom YouTube live stream. What is going on, guys? It is a scorcher today in Pennsylvania. Man, hell of a hot day. I know many of you guys outside of Pennsylvania in the real heat, like down south and stuff like that, are probably going to be laughing, but it is hot. That heat drains you all day long. I hope all you guys had a great holiday last weekend. Had a little bit of a break in the live streams. I think kind of moving forward, any like holiday weekend and stuff like that, I'm just gonna, you could probably just assume that the live stream is going to be kind of jumped over for that. And the only reason is just because, got to spend time with the family. You know what I mean, guys? And also, I think sometimes I can get caught in a routine of consistently, making sure those live streams are out and out and out on the same schedule that they've been going on, even if maybe there's not too much to talk about. So that also is something to always remember too. In today's live stream, we're going to be talking about pistols in the way of not only EDC but defense as a whole. By pistols, I do not mean your standard handguns, but more so large frame pistols, AR pistols, AK pistols, and a wide variety that also falls into that category. Any braced item. Some more interesting considerations have come up, more thought processes that maybe I did not have a few months ago, and kind of moving forward, what I'm kind of thinking now and what I've been hearing a lot in the gun shop that I work at. As always with these live streams, if you guys have any questions in regards to what I am talking about here in the live or anything else on the channel, or just anything in general, the awesome thing about these formats, this format, I should say, the way that these live streams go, is that you can throw it down below in the comment section and I'll answer you live. Before we get the main topic started, as always, after this live stream ends, there's going to be some ways you can click down below in the links in the description to support the channel. All that support really helps out. As far as for channel updates and videos that are going to be coming soon, I finally got in a night vision optic, so a night vision monocular PVS 14, and I am currently paying that off. It's going to take me a little bit to pay that off. It is a good bit as far as price point, but it is a super great PVS 14. Really digging it so far. The spec sheet looks awesome. It is a PVS 14 from a company called Nightline. And Nightline actually just recently partnered with Noise Fighters to have a super interesting pano bridge for two PVS 14s to almost give you a more cheap, to a point, panoramic night vision that isn't $40,000 for, the granddaddy EOTech solid flex night vision. And I actually am somewhat working with Nightline to give you guys the review. They just gave me a little bit of a discount, but I got news for you guys. I'm still paying pretty damn close to full retail for that PVS 14, but they are going to do me a solid and actually send me their new pano bridge that they've partnered with Noise Fighters with to take a look at for this new video series that we're going to be doing in the way of night vision. That's going to be coming in probably about a month and a half to 2 months. It's going to be about a month of just simply paying that thing off, and then also getting any other remaining things that I need to actually bring that to the range and get it all hooked up. And then the video series is going to start essentially in regards to the common person getting into night vision and different things to consider. And is it possible? Is it not possible? What do you need? What do you not need? Those are the things that I'm hoping to find out myself in my quest to go through night vision. But by no means did Nightline, as great as they were for working with me, just send me the optic for free. Again, I'm paying pretty damn close to full retail, so it's going to take me a little bit to pay that off and actually get it home. I actually did get a chance to look through my exact monocular, my tube, before I took it home, and it looks great. It's a Gen 3 white phosphorus tube, and yeah, we're going to get into a lot of that moving forward, and I think that, you know, might be a video series that some of you are going to be interested in, some of you maybe not. But it should be an interesting one nonetheless. As far as more immediate videos dropping within the next week to 2 weeks, I have an M92 PAP full review video, so if you're looking to see more about that AK pistol, that is going to be dropping very, very soon. That will probably be dropping on Tuesday. I have a TSOS 1911 A1 video, first impressions video, dropping probably this upcoming Thursday. I also have a full review coming out on the Silencer Co. Omega suppressor. Been using that now for a few years, and I finally think I've used it enough to come up with a full review. We're also going to be dropping a review on a new Streamlight. Can't show you guys the gun in this live stream, but let me see. There you go. The new RM2. A little bit of a taste there, because YouTube sucks in the way of showing guns in live streams. What's going on, guys? So the RM2 laser variation, we got a first impressions video on that. And moving forward, I think I even have a full review coming out on the Spiritus Systems Micro Fight rig, their chest rig, and kind of what I think of that. So a bunch of different videos coming out, should be pretty interesting. And stay tuned. It should get pretty awesome. Okay, now I think we got a good bit of people in here, about 7 minutes in. Welcome, hello, and welcome as always. EDCing a large frame pistol, right? AK pistol, AR pistol, any braced item, EDCing it. What is up, man? Not only EDCing the pistol, but in reality, Doc, FYI, I'm seeing ads before the live stream starts. Does that mean the monetized status has improved for your channel? Doc, unfortunately not. What the channel is allowed to monetize is basically live streams. Now, unfortunately, when I do a live stream here on YouTube, what I do is you go through the little process. I do these live streams right from my phone, and you only have the choice to choose, do you want to monetize the live stream? Once you hit yes, they're pretty much going to guarantee the live stream monetization, although I have had some that have been demonetized because you're not showing guns, you're not showing anything like that. But I can't control where the ads are. So I do apologize. Many people have told me before, hey man, there's like ads all over the place in the live stream, especially after it uploads with the hour-long thing. I can't control that quite as much as a normal video. I might be able to control it afterwards in editing. I haven't really looked into it quite as much. But pretty much the only thing on the channel that YouTube allows me to monetize, so in other words, post ads to get a little bit of a kickback for me. By a little bit of a kickback, that's like $1 for the video, maybe a couple bucks. Live streams are about the only thing they'll allow me to monetize. As far as my videos, my edited videos, pretty much any video that gets a lot of views, not able to get monetized, and pretty much at this point, it's like 75–80% of the videos on my channel not able to be monetized. So, it is what it is. Not the end of the world. When it comes to monetization with YouTube, you can kind of get on YouTube's good side, if that even makes sense. In my opinion, in my experience, on YouTube, when you click on monetizing your video on a gun channel or another channel, what will end up happening if they kind of like don't want it monetized is they will put a little yellow money symbol there, $, that says limited to no ads. So limited to no ads, but it still kind of makes you believe it's monetized. In my experience, here's what that's going to do for you. If your whole channel says limited to no ads on all your videos on your channel screen, you're probably going to start getting flags from YouTube. you're not getting almost any monetization from those videos anyways, but you are, this is a theory of mine, you are getting kind of a more red flag central for YouTube itself. So I think how I have gotten through with monetization, held on to any type of monetization for longer, is any of those videos that do that, I just turn the monetization off for that video, so it does not give like a warning to YouTube or whatever. You know, that might not be helpful to some of you, but I know a lot of you guys watch that are just starting a gun channel or are just starting a YouTube channel, so that information might be helpful to you. I've seen a lot of people start getting strikes, videos taken down when all of their videos are limited to no ads and they leave them up. So why did I want to talk about this topic? Well, not just for EDC, but really, and I might just rename the live stream after it ends, but a large frame pistol, a braced pistol for defense as a whole. And some considerations you might want to think about moving forward. When you are looking at a defensive gun, there's a little bit of a difference between what we want to happen and what we believe should happen, abiding by the actual Constitution itself and our God-given rights, our natural rights that we are granted as citizens to be able to own whatever it is that we would like. And for pretty much every situation, I would say full bore, send it, true patriot style. And I'm sure many of you guys, you know, understand what I mean by that. Where there's some different considerations is real world defensive firearms. Why is there different considerations? Well, when we are looking at maybe a questionable firearm, let's say, okay, a little bit of a questionable firearm, not sure, right? A little bit gray, a little bit arbitrary. We're not entirely sure. You are almost always going to be just fine, because the reality of it is a lot of us do the ATF jobs for them, right? A lot of us, hey man, where's your stamp for that? Hey man, it looks like the barrel's a little bit too short, but you have a stock on that. Where's your tax stamp? At the range. So we end up really shooting ourselves in the foot quite a bit. But the reality of it is if you're just, you know, you're at the range, you're shooting what you have to shoot, and you go home, whatever, you're almost always going to be fine. You know, you have the pistol variation, you have whatever, and you know, maybe you're unsure. You might have a little bit of an angled grip on there. It might be good, might not be. Who knows? In almost every situation, again, you're going to be fine. You know, you're using it at the range. I wouldn't post a bunch of social media pictures about it generally, because that's, you know, never the best thing to do. But, you know, that gun's going to go home. It's going to go into your safe. And especially if it's more of a rainy day gun, SHTF gun, you know, when laws don't matter anymore type of gun. Again, not the end of the world. When it comes to defense, having a gun that you carry around with you in your everyday carry, right? Your everyday carry setup, that is a gun that out of all the guns that you own, that has the highest probability, right, of you grabbing that gun and pulling the trigger in a real world defensive situation. Not, you know, years down the road or months down the road or whenever in an SHTF situation when none of this shit matters anyways, but like a tomorrow situation, God forbid. And especially also in a home defense situation. So where I'm going with this is large frame pistols, right? You use a large frame pistol, you have a brace on it, you have other accessories on it. The reality of pistols right now, and what they have been for really since its inception a lot of the time, is gray, right? Is totally gray. And yes, I'm starting to bring this up more because of obviously ATF new possible rulings, you know, coming out being even more gray and even more arbitrary here in just a few days to a few weeks, right? Whatever it is that you have, unless you are in a courtroom, is probably not going to be analyzed, right? Not going to be scrutinized, and you're not going to get screwed on it. again, you're bringing your pistol to the range and it has more of a questionable accessory up front, you know, that's underneath it, you're going to be fine. Nobody's really going to give a shit at the end of the day, unless you're posting pictures on social media, you know, whatever, you're contacting the ATF or whatever. But you have that same item, and now you use that item in a defensive situation. What a lot of people forget is that now that item is going to court, right? So even if it's a justified shooting, a lot of people don't really understand that even in a justified shooting, you still are going to court one way or another. You're going to go to court, and the situation is going to be evaluated by the court system, and who will also evaluate that item if the item potentially falls under ATF restrictions, under ATF NFA stuff, is local ATF branch, is the prosecutor contacting the local ATF branch and sending them photos of your gun that you used, what it looks like, maybe accessories that are on it. And the issue that a lot of people forget is that all of this stuff is gray, right? It is completely gray. And that's part of the reason why the ATF wants it gray. It is because they are able to go into a courtroom or something like that and say, hey, like we've seen in past, hey, the sighting system that you have on that, we think that constitutes a rifle, right? Because you couldn't use that with one hand out in front of you, right? It has to be used with two hands into the shoulder, so therefore you build an SBR. So even though it's a justified shoot, you now have an illegal SBR, you're going to jail regardless, right? So a lot of people think, well, hey man, you know, there was an email out that somebody sent a letter back, you know, from the ATF that said angled grips, grip stops are fine. That may be the case, but at the end of the day, we don't have any sort of a definite, hey, the letter of the law is that this is good to go in this configuration. The brace that you have might be good to go, and then, you know, it's not good to go on the pistol that you put it on. Now, all of a sudden, you have an adapter to fit it to a non-AR style pistol that actually increases the overall length of pull to over 13.5 inches, and they're going to be assholes and measure from a diagonal spot anyways, and now you're going to jail, right? So these are all things to come into consideration if you are looking to have a large frame pistol in a defensive role. Again, watch my words carefully here. There's a difference between keeping it for a rainy day, living the full patriot life, right, and just sending it and using the gun in a situation where rules do not matter anymore. And then there's a totally different story when it comes to actually carrying the gun with you day in and day out, or keeping it in the corner of your house as the first gun that you would grab in a real world, rule of law, normal laws apply situation. So take that for what you will. There's really only two times that your guns are going to come into immediate scrutiny under government of any type, right? And one of those times is you are getting raided, okay? And your guns are getting confiscated in a raid setup or a red flag law setup. And in that situation, you got a hell of a lot more to worry about. So that's one situation. And the other situation is you use that gun in a defensive scenario, and that gun winds up in court. And now everything on that gun is being scrutinized. Now, I'm not one of those people personally that believe that, you know, you're gonna the make it or break it thing is gonna be your aftermarket trigger. I think in that case, you probably really didn't have maybe a super justified shoot, and the prosecutors are looking for anything that they can in order to throw you into jail. And that's why I wouldn't put too much thought and concern into, like, you know, what accessories should you add to your standard handgun, you know, your standard Glock 19 or whatever, or your standard AR-15 that you're using for home defense in a complete rifle setup. Because at the end of the day, if it's not a super justified shoot, they're going to throw anything at you anyways. But when it comes to pistols, again, that's where the scrutiny is going to come into play. So I think a lot of people forget this. And, you know, again, that would be the only time where I would almost actually advise probably not using, you know, a large frame braced pistol variant in a defensive role like that. A lot of people are going to be like, oh, what are you talking about? That's ridiculous. That's the reality of the situation that we are in today, right? That we are in today. And the crappy part, again, is there is a difference. You know, hypothetical situation, future world, right? They make large frame pistols essentially illegal. Now you have to register it, pay the $200. You're like, screw it. I'll throw stock on there, live that full patriot life, right? Again, that's cool. That would not be the gun that I would use in a defensive situation, if you guys catch my drift on that. The only time, again, that gun is going to come into question, more than likely, is in a raid, which is a really bad situation, red flag law situation, again, really, really bad, or it is used in a defensive situation and now it's going to court. So even though you have a justified shoot, you might be screwing yourself in the back end and still going to jail for a very long time. And if the ATF is involved, that's potentially 10 years in federal prison, not even state prison, because you're breaking federal law at that point if they want to say that you illegally manufactured an NFA item, even though the NFA shouldn't exist in the first place. But these are all things, you know, to take into consideration when it comes to real-world defensive guns. Let me catch up on everybody's comments here. Give me one second. Bought a folding triangle brace from Midway USA for 50% off this week. Did I make a bad buy if Biden declares braces are SBRs? Not necessarily, but here's what I'll tell you guys. You know, if you're getting a steal on a pistol brace, sure. But I would definitely not run out and panic buy them, if that makes sense, because if again, hypothetical future situation, if the ATF says, hey, if you have a brace on this setup, it's an SBR, you know, and you're like, well, I'm not gonna register it, but I'm gonna keep my brace on it anyways. But now the brace is illegal. Why wouldn't you just have a stock? You know, why would you, if the penalties are going to be the same, why would you risk the penalties with a brace rather than a stock? But that is also why, Nick, that manufacturers, I shouldn't say manufacturers, distributors, websites, whatever, are blowing out braces. And they probably will be the closer that we get to ATF restrictions, possible restrictions, because now all of these companies are sitting on these inventory things, right? That braces, whatever, that are taking up inventory that may become a legal issue in a few weeks, may or may not. So a lot of these places are going to be like, yep, send them back, you know, blow them out on sales. We don't want them. A lot of places aren't ordering them, are not bringing in braced pistols of any type, because again, unsure on what's going to happen. So keep that in mind. That's why people are blowing them out at crazy sales. Use uBlock or Origin Chrome extension if you don't want to see ads. That may work. I have no idea, honestly. I don't mind ads if money is going toward the channel and the content creator. I really appreciate that. You know, the ads are something that when you see ads, if you see ads on one of my videos, there are very few videos that YouTube allows the ads to be on. So it's not on all of them. It's just on some, trying to make money where I can. Saw them on Midway. I thought they were trying to clear out their supply before Biden comes down. Yeah, Matt, that is almost definitely the case. Not even just Biden, but more specifically the ATF at the hand of Biden. You know, yeah. I am seeing ammo prices go down. Sportsman's had 9mm for 20 cents a round in store only today. Are you seeing prices go down in your shop? Prices on ammo, not as much. Here's what we're seeing over the past few weeks. Inventory has stayed actually relatively good. Ammo has slightly come in, but the prices of ammo have stayed relatively the same. What I am seeing is now big box stores are actually getting pretty good deals on ammo. So it seems that ammo manufacturers that are putting this stuff out and giving it to distribution, they are servicing the big box stores first rather than the small shops. So I would imagine that you're going to start seeing ammo come back at a slightly reduced price in big box stores before the little guys. That's just the reality of it. So that is a good sign, because that means that, hey, at least somebody is getting a good price on ammo. At least somebody's getting ammo brought down. Unfortunately, they're not helping out, you know, the small shop quite as much. But at this point, I'm happy to see ammo out, you know, everywhere. Not necessarily everywhere, but better. Sorry, guys, reading through everybody's comments. Caleb, if only we had a platform for gun tubers alone. I'll be honest with you, they never work. They never work. I over my years of being a gun tuber, I have posted my content on platforms like that probably like 6 times overall, and they always fail. They always fail, because reality of it is here on YouTube, if the algorithms are in my favor for that video, I will have everyone that wants to see that video see that video. They might not even be gun people. They might just be on there looking at, you know, new paint for their house and how to paint their room and which paint to get and blah, blah, blah. And they found themselves in a YouTube rabbit hole, and now they're watching Firearm Freedom, right? So a lot more of a wide variety of people, wide variety of audience you have on YouTube, because YouTube unfortunately has the monopoly. What we need is another social media platform that has video uploading. Their servers can handle that much video uploads. But it's just simply open. You know, think of an actual parlor, right, that isn't now controlled by the bullshit, but for video uploads. And that really is, I think, the only answer is to have something. But the problem is now that YouTube has a monopoly, Google has a monopoly. Nobody's going to come out with a platform that beats that. And if they do, like Parler, it's going to get shut down, because we live in an illusion of freedom. The illusion that, you know, you have the freedom of social media and that you could just go make your own social media platform, but that's in reality not the case. Any idea when ATF is releasing opinion on braces? White House said 60 days back at the beginning of April. Nick, it should be soon. It should be very, very soon. So, I don't know. I couldn't tell you exactly when, but probably soon. If you use it, you will lose it. That's why I don't have $3,000 carbines and pistols for home defense. Sean, very valid point. My, not necessarily argument to that, because it's not an argument, but my comment to that would be that if I am in a defensive situation, if God forbid it got to the point where an attacker to me or my family was stopped and there was a loss of life involved, that could not be avoided, the very, very last thing on my mind will be, oh shit, that gun was, I had a lot of money into that gun. You know, because now I'm looking at possibly losing my freedom, hundreds of thousands of dollars possibly in courtroom, you know, the unjust system that we live in, being trying to find an attorney, trying to get out of that, my whole family going through the trauma of the experience as well. These are all things that, again, I would not give the slightest shit that the gun was worth a lot of money. If I get it back, great. If I don't, you know, it is what it is. At that point, I'll be happy to have my freedom. Reality of the situation is I think a lot of people, I think a lot of people believe that we have a more just system, a better justice system than we actually do. Justice almost always is never served. It's just how much money do you have to pay for an attorney and the loopholes that you can use. So again, least concern would be how expensive the gun is. So if you want to use, you know, $3,000 guns, so be it. You know, I'm going to use the firearm that is the most effective for me to use to protect my life and my family's life. So if that gun is $200, so be it. If that gun's $3,000, so be it. You know, that's the reality. I think a lot of people, though, you know, put a little bit too much thought into how much the gun is worth, because I think for most of us, that's going to be the last thing on your mind. ATF isn't going to stop until they get the answer that they want. Yeah, I mean, here's the deal, guys. The prosecutors generally, and full disclosure, I could not find this story for the life of me. I wanted to find it and quote it to you guys in this live stream, but I couldn't. I remember more recently a TAC-14 or Mossberg Shockwave firearm came into question in a self-defense situation with an SB tactical brace on the end of it. Can't remember where it was, can't remember who was involved. I just remember seeing it multiple times, and now I can't find it at all. A lot of you guys are probably going to remember it. This was very recent, where it seemed to be a justified shoot. The gun that was used came into question. My understanding of the situation is that the prosecutors in the case, even though it was a justified shoot, ended up contacting their local ATF branch. The representative from the local ATF branch came into the situation, viewed the item that to all of us would seem to be a firearm that completely fell under the AOK for the ATF in regards to, hey, that brace is good, this is good, everything's good. And they said, nope, that's actually an SBS. And you violated federal law, so even though it was a justified shoot, now you are running into issues for illegally manufacturing an SBS, which is no slap on the wrist. That is up to $250,000 in fines and potentially 10 years in federal prison. And also losing all of your gun rights for more than likely the rest of your life, unless you can get out of that situation and not die in prison and come out and somehow get everything expunged. Sure, you might get your gun rights back. But that's always something to think about, right? So again, I'm sure many of you guys are going to chime in if I'm wrong on that story, but I am almost positive that's how it went down. I just can't find it anywhere. During rule of law, I hear USCCA replaces firearm upon defensive engagement. I've heard of that as well. Again, cool, very cool that they do that. Least of my worries at that point. Least of my worries. I have, other guns that if they do get, generally all of the firearms that somebody owns is going to get confiscated at that point. I don't know if they do, if they don't. I think it really depends on the situation. I don't know. Again, my main concern at that point is my freedom. That is my main immediate concern is legal advice, who's my attorney, freedom of the situation, because there's a lot that comes into play. If, God forbid, a defensive situation happens and a gun is involved, and again, God forbid, worst case scenario, a life is lost trying to save the life of yourself or your family. So these are all things to consider, and the least of my worries is going to be like, oh shit, my gun's gone. What's the likelihood of being judged by a jury of peers who actually understand reality of legal ownership and operation when it comes to large frame pistols? Doc, that's another huge point. It's a very, very ignorant statement to say I would rather be, you know, judged by 12 than carried by 6. Ignorance, total ignorance, because the reality of it is you don't understand what being judged by 12 is. And I don't know, like, there are many situations where I think I would Jesus, horrible decisions to make. There's many situations where I think I would rather be dead than be in prison for a very long time. I don't know. I'd rather probably just be dead at that point rather than be in prison for a long time. So each situation is different, but I can tell you I never want to be in a situation where I'm judged by 12, right? Because that's not 12 of your friends, 12 of the people in your community. Our justice system is not just. Okay, that's just wake up call, you know, news flash, not just. They tell you that they're going to get people from all walks of life to judge you. That's not the reality. What is the reality of the higher likelihood that most of the people on that jury are avid watchers of mainstream news, you know, have no idea in regards to a gun or how it works, are not going to believe you, the person that used it, but are going to believe the, quote, expert ATF agent, government agent that came into play and judged your item. These are all things that take its course pretty quickly in defensive situations in the United States all of the time. So again, things to take into consideration. Now, if you ever have to use your gun, you are almost definitely going to go up to a jury of 12 people, and that's where it's important to make sure that you can cover your loose ends as much as possible in the way of your gun itself. It will be really shitty to be in a situation you have a justified shoot, but now loose ends because the prosecutors are going to pull, hey, your gun is maybe not compliant with the ATF, so we're going to screw you anyways. So we're going to get to a point in this country, in my opinion, where none of that matters anyways, because all the guns that we're talking about are probably restricted anyways, and a lot of people are going to have to make some really shitty decisions. But I'm talking right now, today, not like months from now, years from now, futuristic, apocalyptic world from now. I'm saying right now, today, what's leaning in your corner of your house for defense? What are you carrying with you in your bag? These are things to consider, and things that I have been considering because I have pistols in EDC rolls as well. And I'm starting to think, like, you know, if you ever had to use that, you're getting screwed if one of those things is not kosher with the ATF. And the reality of it is there's no way to know if it's kosher or not because it's totally gray, and it's probably going to be even more gray here soon. They put ads now on all videos, even if it's not qualified for ads. I've heard that as well. That sucks. That really blows. That's another slap in the face from YouTube, honestly. Thanks, YouTube. They do that quite a bit. If every single person just stopped using braces and threw stocks on everything, it would be like prohibition, and the law would become unenforceable. Brian, yes. That's the reality of that. But seriously, yeah, I mean, like I said in the beginning of this live stream, we do the ATF's job for them most of the time. I mean, I have people commenting under my videos here on YouTube, hey man, I think that angled grip stop actually counts as the vertical grip, and I think you actually are violating NFA there with that. I'm sorry. Are you trying to do the ATF's job for them? I mean, seriously, because that's the reality. I have people telling me, hey, you're shouldering the brace. That's you're breaking NFA restrictions. Who the fuck are you, honestly? Like, that's the reality of us in the gun community doing the job of the ATF for them. I mean, there's a hell of a lot of RSOs out there who will come up to you and ask for your Form 4 you know, at a public range to see your documentation of your NFA item. Are you kidding me? Yeah, no. Like this is you are doing the ATF's job for them, and that's exactly how they want it. But Brian, you're exactly right. In Prohibition, if you had most of the people say, "Hey, I'm not gonna drink alcohol, but I'm gonna have this like pseudo alcohol." Okay, kind of looks like alcohol. It's not called alcohol. You don't really drink it like alcohol. You put it up your butt, and it still gets you messed up. Okay, but it's technically cool. I'm gonna do that, but I'm definitely not gonna drink alcohol. Not gonna do that. I'm gonna do what's legal. How much easier would it have been for the U.S. government, okay, to look at that item and say, well, we're going to really easily just screw everybody, and a lot less people are complying with, or a lot more people are complying with this, so it's really easy for us to just say, no, you can't use that weird mystery liquid. That's not cool, right? But at the end of the day, in Prohibition, you had a majority of people not do any form of compliance. Say, oh, okay, it's illegal. I'm going to go ahead and do it anyways. And I'm going to go ahead and drink alcohol, make my own alcohol, run bars, everything like that. And that's the reality of why Prohibition didn't work, the reality of why Prohibition no longer exists right now. There's a lot of people that went to jail wrongfully. There's a lot of people that got hurt by government wrongfully in regards to Prohibition. So it is not an easy road to go down. Takes rather big balls, but that's the reality of the situation. We are bred differently nowadays, my friend. MagTech FMJ, I've seen drop a few bucks. Yeah, it really depends on where you're at, honestly. Did you see the CRS/Dry Fire Faith debate? Sad, really. No, Steven, I did not. I don't even. I have no idea. Were those two channels that debated? I don't know. Yeah, Scott, it could have been Minnesota. I'm not entirely sure. Is insurance worth it? Tough call. Very tough call. Reality of it is most of the time you need to be double damn sure that it's going to be a justified shoot before any sort of a trigger is pulled. Is lethal force required in this situation? 100%. Am I not going to come out of this situation alive? Is my family not going to come out of this situation alive unless a trigger is pulled? That is my last option humanly possible. No other options exist other than me having to pull this trigger in order to go home alive, in order for my family to leave alive. Those questions need to be answered, and insurance or no insurance, that's not going to help you if any of those questions were I'm not sure or a maybe. So will insurance help you in the way of providing immediate legal assistance with attorneys that are specific firearm defensive attorneys? Yes. Are they going to help you if it's a questionably justifiable shoot? Probably not. They're not going to have this magic wand that's going to say, hey, this situation is good or not good. So, I don't know. So what, I don't have carry insurance right now. I'll be up front with you. I don't have any now. Is that something that interests me in the future? Maybe. If you have the money to put on it, I would say why not? I mean, it's not like it's going to hurt you in any situation. If anything, it'll help out rather than, do anything negative. Sorry. Same thing could happen with an AR and brace. All you need is the wrong ATF agent. By same thing, you know, if you're talking in the way of using the gun in a defensive situation, then yes, that's the whole point of the live is just, hey, any of these items, as far as large frame pistols, probably not the best idea right now to be using them in a defensive role. I've had a lot of people talk to me and say, hey, that's why in my EDC pistol, right, large frame brace pistol, I don't have any sort of a grip stop on there. No grip stop. I don't have any backup sights. I just have a red dot and a brace. That's it. Okay, totally valid point. Reality of it is, though, is they have made claims that says, hey, your weight of the item, the overall weight of the item constitutes it as a rifle. Did the brace come on there from factory and the gun is in a complete factory configuration, or did you modify the gun and put the brace on there? Now we're getting into gray areas here. Did you add sights to the gun that weren't on there from factory? Gray area. Who knows at this point? These are all ridiculous. These all should not exist. I'm just telling you guys the reality that is the ATF and what they do consistently in regards to braced items in a courtroom in a defensive situation. Not great to use it. That's what's good about military courts. Usually you have someone on the jury that can relate. Yeah, I mean, I would say that that is the case. You know, in our world today, we have people that are completely polluted by mainstream media, and that is media of any type, and then getting on in a courtroom, in a jury, and trying to judge the trial in an unbiased way. Well, I could almost guarantee you that that's probably not going to happen. Carried by 6, judged by 12 is an easy decision. Scott, I don't know, man. For me, there's a lot more to it than that. There's a lot more to it than that. There's a lot more than just carried by 6, judged by 12, judged by 12, carried by 6, whatever. A great book about that. Now, I'm not saying this is the be-all, end-all. I'm not trying to tell you guys that. But what I'm trying to tell you is a very good book to read in regards to that very topic is Violence of Mind by Varg Freeborn. I hope I'm remembering his name right. I'll give him a little shout out in this live stream. Read his book. Awesome book. Don't know much about the dude other than the book, what happened in the book. And, you know, that is a big insight into somebody who has actually gone through that situation, has actually been judged by 12, okay, in a defensive situation that seemed to be justified and was judged by 12, wound up in prison for, I think, 7 years, talks about how wrong it was to have the mindset of, I'd just rather be judged by 12 because of his time in prison, and what he saw in prison, you know, what happened to him in prison. But needless to say, it's not that easy. It's not that easy. You know, it's situationally dependent. It is what you're going to get into. It's really easy to say that stuff, you know, and then all of a sudden you're standing in front of a jury by 12 of not your peers judging you, and you're looking at hardcore jail time, and, you know, difficult situation. It's a difficult situation. You know, I don't know. I've heard a lot of people say that same, you know, like, I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6 when in regards to, like, carrying in a state like New York. If you're not a New York resident, again, dumb call. Very dumb call. Let me tell you why. Because the reality of it is there's a difference between what should be and is not, and there's also a difference of future and the current reality that we live in. The chance of you getting into let's put it this way, right? Hypothetical situation. You're vacationing Okay, not sure why. I'm sure many of us in here aren't huge fans of New York City. You're vacationing in New York City, right? You're vacationing in New York City. You go and you're like, hey, I am going to carry my gun in New York City. We're going to be there for the weekend. I don't care. Rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6, right? Boom. End of discussion. Done. That's the mindset I'm going to take. But it's not complete because there's a lot of things missing from that. What is the reality? Now, Murphy's Law, anything bad that happened probably will, right? I get it. I totally understand it. The reality, though, of you getting in a defensive situation in that very limited amount of time that you're in that state is probably pretty low in the grand scheme of things in your life, whatever. What are the likelihood, though, that you get into a car accident, that something happens, that law enforcement is involved, you go to the hospital, something happens, that gun is found not even in a defensive situation, right? You're going to jail. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You're going to jail. So now you weren't even in a situation where you were going to be carried by 6. Not even in one. But the chances of you getting that gun found, looked at, seen in a non-defensive situation are pretty high compared to in a actual defensive situation, which are probably relatively low in a short amount of period. Now, there is what should be. I should be able to carry my gun anywhere I want. And then there's a reality of the situation. On top of that, many people in those states have different mindsets, right? They don't think the way that we do. They see gun on somebody and they see bad guy. They call the police. So these situations happen all of the time. And now this person has lost their gun rights for the rest of their lives. If they get them expunged, great. Now they're in jail. Now they've lost their family. They've lost their livelihood. And God knows what happens to them in jail, if they survive it, if they don't, whatever. Again, situationally dependent. Very easy to just say, oh, I'd rather be carried by 6 than judged by 12. But there's many situations where you're not even going to be carried by 6. Not even on the cards. But there's a good chance now you're going to be judged by 12. So, situationally dependent. Things going on. Always worth double checking. Risks, pros, cons, different things. Okay? 7 years in prison means you're still alive. Scott, I would agree. I get it. You're still alive. Again, interesting points, though, when he's talking about people losing their soul in prison, people getting raped, sexually assaulted, gang raped. I don't know, dude. Are you still alive? Are you not? Big debate. You come out, you've lost your family. I mean, there's a lot involved there. And again, situationally dependent. So, tough situation. But regardless, too, again, remember the difference between how likely are you to actually be carried by 6 versus how likely are you to be judged by 12. Right? But read the book. I don't know. I've never been in that situation. I've never been judged by 12. I've also obviously never been carried by 6. Okay? Obviously. And I don't think there's going to be many people that have been carried by 6 that are still around to talk about it. But it's still an interesting book. And it's a book to read nonetheless. Because it's going to go into it from a very unique standpoint that you're not going to see a lot of the time. All right. Sorry, guys. Reading through everybody's comments. We're about done with the main topic, but I just want to make sure I get through everybody's stuff. Silencers are illegal because they didn't want people poaching game during the Depression. I have heard that, and I believe that sounds about accurate. But there also were other things in regards to just gun control as a whole on why they were added to the NFA. I have had that happen to me at a gun range in Maryland. He asked where my papers were for the SBR. He threatened to call the cops because I was out of state. Luckily, someone there schooled him. Yeah, Sean, great data point, but that happens a lot more frequently, and that would be a prime example of somebody doing the ATF's job for him. Midnight Demon, I did see the assault weapons ban situation going on in California right now. I don't want to comment right now because I think there's a lot more pieces moving that need to be finished before we figure out the definite. So I don't want to comment too much now until that gets totally done. I just got an ad in the middle of your live stream. Not trying to make you frustrated there. I had to choose in the beginning of the lives. Sorry, guys, this light's killing my eyeballs. I have to choose in the beginning of my lives if I want these monetized or not. And in the beginning, I can't choose where the ads are. If they allow me to monetize the live, which a lot of the time they do, they will just plop ads, wherever. So unfortunately, I don't have too much control over that. Judged by 12 angry anti-gunners. Yeah, there you go. Friend's dad was pulled over and told that his New York State concealed carry permit is not valid in New York City. Yeah, it is not. Carrying in New York City is a totally different story. Matt, Philly is actually a little bit different. That is a little bit of a misconception. You can still carry in Philly. The difference is actually knives in Philly are totally different than the state. And then on top of that, there are a lot more buildings that you cannot carry in Philly. So there are some differences in carrying as a whole. But as far as carrying a gun in Philly, it's still possible. It's just there's some weird changes that you really got to read up on before bringing your gun to Philadelphia if you're in Pennsylvania. These anti-gun laws are infringement on our rights, and the main people that infringe on our rights are the blue. I mean, whole other topic for a whole other live stream. If I get any larger, I'll need to be carried by 12. That was pretty good. I'm going to answer these comments, and that's pretty much going to be the end of this live stream. They have fun welcome parties when you go to prison. Yeah, more than likely. Fun, sure. So you... reading through. All right. I think I caught up on all the questions, actually. So we got like a minute and a half. So if you guys have any other quick questions and you want to throw them down, I'll answer probably one more if we have time. Again, I said this in the beginning of the live stream, but stay tuned. I have, I'll just tell you guys the most recent video dropping this week is going to be the M92 PAP AK pistol full review video. Funny that we are... that I'm dropping a full review of an AK pistol after this live stream. Again, I'm not trying to... It's very important that you guys understand that I'm not trying to say that having a large frame pistol is not a good idea. That's not it at all. I have many brace pistols. What I'm trying to tell you guys is using a brace pistol for a defensive role, probably not the best right now. That's what I'm trying to say. So, yeah, it is what it is. Oof, Sean... Go get that ribeye. Brian, no bicep flex. We'll save that for the Discord. EDC dump verbal EDC dump because YouTube is super dumb with these live streams. VP9, optics cut slide, RMR, X300 Ultra, 20 round factory spare mag, Spyderco Super Gold 2, knife, Leatherman sidekick, Victorinox little small Swiss Army knife, Bic lighter, stream light, micro stream light, and wallet. Done. I think that's about it. Thanks as always. Gonna like the video for the algorithm before I head out. Hey, I appreciate it. Yes, appendix carry Scott for the win. Guys, that is gonna finish up this live stream. I'm gonna get to actually filming. Hopefully, a couple of these. Brian, medical's in my bag, dude. But you're right, not on my person, so I'm a total noob. I'm sorry. I'm going to finish this live stream now. Go film some tabletops. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Stay tuned for the live stream. We should be good to go on the standard live stream next week on Sunday. And it should be pretty awesome. As far as comments, I will get back to all of your comments underneath the videos. That 5 guns I regret buying video just like blew up more than most of my other videos. A lot of comments on there, a lot of them that I'm filtering through, so that's why it's taking me a little bit longer to get to comments this week, because I swear to God, every morning that I go to answer comments, there's like 80 new ones from just that video. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that comment section down below. Let me know what you think of the live stream. Share it around. All that stuff really does help out. As always, stay tuned for more great videos to come soon.